And one of the things I really like about this visioning process, and I was presented with the idea of having a vision of the future early on in my entrepreneurial career, and it was described to me in so many different ways, and it always seemed very vague. So I really enjoy giving this presentation because when we add a lot of specificity, it makes a lot more sense. And had I gotten this concept earlier in my entrepreneurial career, I imagine I would have much more success now. And one of the things that's really cool for me is there's two practices going on here: is seeing how far out I can envision the future and with how much detail. And I was talking to Valerie just the other day that my ability to see further out has gotten better. I can see out 10 or 20 years with pretty good definition. And the amount of definition I have in my vision over the next 3 years has gotten much better. So there's two practices here: how far out can you see, and with how much definition and specificity can you see in a given amount of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on 1 year today. If you've been through our 90-day program, or if you're going to go through by the way, we retired that and it's now a 6-month program. If you end up going through that, we're going to ask you to envision as far out as 10 years. But it's the new year. I'm going to do this as well. A few of us are gathering at a finca or a farm over here in Colombia, and we're going to take a couple days and we're going to give ourselves the space to envision the next year. So we've got this container of 1 year, and we're going to envision as specific as possible. So a lot of times people say that time is our most valuable resource. I find that to be a little troubling if that's how if that's the only way we think about it. And usually, if I see something that's very common in the mainstream world, or if there's a common phrase, or there's this like this is just how things are, it's a really great place to question from. So people say, "Oh, time is your most valuable resource," and I go, "But is it really?" And I would say time and attention are our most valuable resources, because time is just this thing that's steadily going. If we're looking at a clock, it's the same for everybody. But the way that my time is different than your time is, where is my attention while that time is passing by? And if we want to get into some very metaphysical conversations, and you can slow time down, you can speed it up. Definitely had the experience of that, and but generally speaking, for practical application right now, what are you doing with that time? Where is your attention? And there's these common sayings around time and attention being a currency, is because you pay attention and you spend time. So these are both things that are built into our consciousness, the way that we use language, the way we think about things. If you're somebody whose first language was not English, and you didn't have these common sayings, there may be something else built in there for you. But for today, let's really think about what is your return on investment. If you're investing time and attention, especially your attention, what is your return on investment? So whatever the results that you're experiencing in your life right now is a return on investment on where your attention has been up until this point. And so I remember when I had this realization, is that everything in my life up to this point is a result of where I've had my attention. It made me really sad at first, and then it was also very empowering, because uh, I realized that I actually have control over this. That is my attention. So we're gonna work today on how we hone our attention, and not just and how we're planning, but how we execute over the next year as well. So one of the big mistakes that we see is that our attention tends to be on what we don't want. And where we do want our attention is on what we do want, of course. So uh, I want you to really be conscious of this when you do this exercise as you plan out 2021. Make sure that your attention is on what you do want. And I want you to give yourself permission that if there are things coming up for you that you don't want, go ahead and write them down. I think it's a mistake to watch things emerge from the mind and then dismiss it and not write it down because it's something I don't want. What I really like is to do a stream of consciousness, and that is letting letting myself write as much as is write whatever it is that's coming up, and then go back afterwards and then translate that into what I do want. So getting our attention off of what we don't want, a lot of times to get our attention off of it, we need to get it out. And that might mean getting it out on paper, translating it into what we do want, and then crossing that out of what we don't want. And so that's really what I want to encourage you to do. So when we do this exercise, keep that in mind. And then as you know, you might do that stream of consciousness where a lot of things come out you don't want, you translate it into what you do want. And as you go through 2021, it's good to maintain that practice of let that out, translate it. It's good to, this is why journaling early in the day, in a couple weeks, I'm going to do another training on journaling specifically. But this is why it's really good to journal early in the day, because you can get out all the stuff you don't want, translate it into what you do want, and keep that mind honed on what it is you do want to happen so that those things are happening for you. So when we talk about attention, your attention, the attention of your heart could be in one place, your mind could be in another place, and your behavior could be in a different place. And this is actually more common that these three things are not aligned. So if we want our attention to have the most power possible, I don't know why all my pictures are not working here. I'm going to try and redo this because I worked so hard at this. I want my pictures to be dope. Let's see. By the way, if you guys are wondering, this is Canva is what I'm creating this on, and it is been my favorite presentation software until it does something like that. But so we want our attention. We have the attention of the heart, what we care about, the attention of the mind, that's vision, symbols, words, and then we have our behavior. These are all ways in which our attention is focused or unfocused. So if these things are not aligned, then you're going to have a lack of focus. There's also going to be, you're going to have the sensation, you're going to have the experience of things being difficult. So if things are difficult, if things feel hard, if there's resistance, is because these things are not aligned. And so when we talk about alignment, and I remember when I first got, I originally thought, learned about alignment. I was like, oh yeah, I'm mechanically aligned. My spine is aligned. I go to the chiropractor, I get aligned. And then I started looking at more of the psycho-emotional or spiritual aspects of alignment. And I remember hearing people talk about it and thinking, well, this is a bunch of woo weird talk. And it took years later of hearing it and people talking about it, and most people using the word, are you aligned in your life and stuff like that,